Hello and welcome to a new video. Today we're going to take a look at Tapu Bulu. This is a Pokemon I really wanted to max out anyway, and I'm now able to do this one. This was recently in raids as well, and we have a 100% version of this Pokemon, so I wanted to try it out, especially as I already had it to level 40. So here we're going to have a team again. I'm sorry, yes, we have Dialga, yes, we have Zacian, yes, those are the two most common best Pokemon to use for this meta. I know, now people are going to complain in the comment section again, all those two and then a third shield basically in the back. No, it's not the case. The reason why I had to do this basically is I needed an answer for Ho-Oh in the lead. So Dialga is not the best answer, of course, but it still can work with it. And I needed a safe swap that baits out Ho-Oh, which Zacian can do. As well as you're going to have to get something that baits out Giratina while still having answers for Giratina, which is basically like literally I had no real choice other than my Dialga in the lead and Zacian as a safe swap, because like I also need an answer for Dialga still in the lead as well. Like you could have used otherwise something like a Reshiram or something, which will still beat a Giratina Origin, as well as the Ho-Oh of course, but then you die against Dialga. So like you are forced to use those Pokemons basically to have a team around this Pokemon, I feel like. So yeah, I'm sorry that I have to use those Pokemon again, but I tried my best to get something different, but it didn't really work out too well. Here we're going to encounter another Mamoswine in the lead. I don't really enjoy Mamoswine too much in the lead here, but still my opponent going to swap out here in their own Dialga. I can't even talk right now. As we're going to have to go into our Zacian here. It kind of sucks that we don't have a better answer for Dialga in the back here. Usually, I guess here maybe Wild Charge plus Close Combat would be the better moveset on this Zacian. But yeah, now I cannot really change it anymore. I would definitely go for Wild Charge, of course, but I feel like, I mean, also, like, if I then go for a Close Combat Wild Charge, I'm going to be weak against the Giratina again, so I guess there's nothing that you can really win with this Pokemon. You either going to lose against the Dialga a little bit more, you're going to lose against the Giratina a little bit more, so it's a little bit tricky here, as you're going to be able to knock out those two Pokemon, and of course you're going to see a Giratina in the back. This is not really ideal. Kind of forced to go ahead. I'm actually going to go straight for the charge move here, trying to get the damage onto them, and the Dazzling Beam sadly going to get shielded. But as it's going to turn out here anyway, it does not really matter too much, as the Shadow Ball going to do a ton of damage, way more than I expected. I thought we would be way more bulkier than we actually are, but like this, there's not a lot that I can do here. I can go back into my Zacian and try to go for one Play Rough, and I will get one shot here by this incoming Shadow Ball. They still have some energy stored, and they're gonna knock me out here as well. So yeah, that's going to be it for this game here. It's going to be a good game. There's not a lot that I can do here about this one. Let's take a look at the next game. We're going to encounter the Mewtwo in the lead. This is going to be an awkward one as well. Again, I don't really like to encounter Mewtwo with my Dialga. While this seems to be a good matchup, and it is a good matchup as well for Dialga, to be fair. Like, it definitely is a good matchup. In the two-shit scenario, I think you always win. It's still not really the prettiest, and I don't really like this matchup at all. Here we're going to go ahead and go for one charge move. Going to get the shield from the opponent, as you're going to be able to know. Shield up the charge move from the opponent as well if you wanted to, and we're going to do exactly that. And you can try to go for the Iron Head, and we're actually going to be able to reach that one before they go for their own charge move here, which allows us to knock them out. We can stay in here. We have to stay in here. It's going to be a Kyogre coming in, but of course Kyogre is something that we can deal with our Tapu Bulu, and finally Tapu Bulu going to be able to do something here. Tapu Bulu has in certain scenarios a really good matchup actually always. Like we're going to have against the Kyogre, of course, you're going to have a decent matchup. Against Ground, you have a decent matchup. Against most Dragon types, you're going to have a pretty decent matchup as well, other than really Giratina and Dialga, which is sadly one of the main ones. But we're still going to be able to go ahead and go for one Dazzling Beam here. Going to get some decent damage onto the opponent, as you're going to swap out here now to a Zacian. Zacian going to be able to get to another charge move against the opponent as well here. So they're going to go for the Iron Head. I will be able to go for the Wild Charge, forcing either the shield or the knockout against the opponent. It's going to force a knockout, which is going to be actually pretty decent for us, as it can now go ahead and just counter them. Like farm down there with Quick Attack, and one more Bullet Seed going to be enough. This is only a server, as they went for the Blizzard already before, and we're going to be able to farm them down with our Tapu Bulu here. Very good game there. Tapu Bulu actually did something. We're going to see a Ho-Oh in the lead. The main reason why we have something like a Dialga in the lead, of course, it's not the best matchup for Dialga either. Generally, you're going to lose this matchup here, but it really depends on how this first move going to go. Do we get the debuff here or not? We don't get the debuff, which makes it way easier for us. We can go ahead and go for one Iron Head now. We have two Iron Head stored. They're going to be able to shield this move up here. That's totally okay for me, as I can shield up their charge move as well. Going to be another Sacred Fire, and we're gonna not get another debuff there, which is going to be very good for us, as we can farm them all the way down. We have a ton of energy. I'm going to swap out immediately, which I maybe shouldn't have done, but I can just go ahead and go for most likely a Player Off later on. But in comes here the Iron Head, in comes the Zacian of the opponent, allowing me to go for one Player Off first. Step move here, of course, going to do some pretty decent damage, and we're going to now get to another Wild Charge as well, which is going to be very decent for us. We're going to be able to get the near knockout against the opponent. But this is going to allow us now to farm them all the way down with our Tapu Bulu. We should get one more fast move in here. And now we have to get to the Dazzling Beam. We have to get them low here, but the thing is, my Dialga has some energy stored already. We're going to have to get some damage here onto the opponent. They have to throw an Iron Head in order to knock me out. They have to farm up to 100 energy to even have a chance here. But they're going to have to shield this move up here now as well. So we should be fine at this point of time. They're forced to go for one charge move here, and they're going to go ahead and go for the Draco Meteor, because they know already that this game is over. There was nothing that they can do anymore, because they have so much energy still on our Dialga stored. There was nothing they can do. Next opponent, very decent lead for us, is going to be the Reshiram, but they're going to swap into a Lugia. Not really ideal for us. I don't really know how I want to play this one out. Like, here's the thing, Lugia's fast move gonna get double resisted by both of our Pokemon in the back, and their charge moves is going to be resisted by our lead. Here I'm going to basically take the charge moves onto my Zacian, which is maybe not really ideal, but we're going to be able to shoot up the incoming Aeroblast now after they baited me first and I didn't really succeed with that one. We will get a ton of energy here, and we're going to be able to go ahead, go for one Player Off against the opponent's Reshiram here as well. I'm gonna put them into a range where I can go ahead and go for another charge move. Gonna go for the Wild Charge first here, trying to get the KO against the opponent. They're going to shield this move up, which is going to be very good for us. They're going to be forced to throw another charge move against us. In comes now the Fusion Flare. They're going to be able to knock me out, and we're going to see the Zacian in the back. Actually, the matchup for Tapu Bulu is really decent against Zacian. You win this matchup against Zacian in most scenarios. But Quick Attack plus Player Off can be a little bit tricky, but if you think about it, both Wild Charge as well as Close Combat, as we're going to see here, going to be resisted, even though it doesn't really look like it's resisted. It's still going to be very decent for us, as we're going to be able to now go ahead, go for another Grass Knot. They can shield this move up if they want to, and they do want this, which I do understand as well, as they're going to try to farm me all the way down here. I will be able to shield up the charge move from the opponent as well. Going to be a close combat. They're kind of energy dry on their Reshiram, and I can farm them all the way down. I wanted to go for the Draco Meteor here, but sadly my opponent decided to just forfeit, which is not really ideal. We're going to see another Giratina in the lead here, as you're going to see is a swap into the Dialga. What we're going to try to do here is gonna try to get the knockout, but honestly I shouldn't have done this. I think I really misplayed this game here. I thought I would be able to still farm down with my Zacian, but of course resisted quick attack damage is not going to add up too much, and so my opponent actually going to be able to get to another charge move here, and now we're in a really tough spot, which is basically my own fault. Like, if I went up to Draco Meteor, went for the Draco Meteor, either knock them out or get the shield, or if I went up to the Draco Meteor, get the damage onto the opponent first, and then swap out and try to farm down when they were a little bit lower, it would have been way easier for me to still do something in this matchup. Like this, it's going to be very tricky to still do anything for this matchup, to be fair. As you're going to see a Shadow Ball coming through, and you're going to see a Reshiram coming in. At this point of time, I know already, this game is over. I'm going to forfeit this game here as well, as you're going to see here right now, as a Fusion Flare is going to one-shot me. Like, a Fusion Flare is definitely going to one-shot Tapu Bulu. Tapu Bulu isn't really bulky, sadly, so here we're going to see a lead of Dialga. We're going to stay in here, and we're going to go up to the Draco Meteor, now going to bait. I don't really care too much what the opponent does here. I'm always just going to shield and try to farm down usually. Turns out my opponent decides to go up to the Iron Head again. Honestly, maybe I shouldn't have shielded this one and try to get my energy with my Zacian instead. Like this, I would be able to realign, but I don't really want to realign. I have an ABB line, so I can swap out immediately anyway. It's going to be the Landorus here right now, and I can go ahead and go for the Player Off against the opponent. The opponent, of course, will go for their Stone Edge, which is a very hard-hitting Rock-type charge move from the Landorus. Still going to shield this move up. Landorus has very similar attack stat like Mewtwo, does a ton of damage, no matter which move they go for, basically. And as you can see, a Stone Edge would would do a lot of damage and does do a lot of damage, but we're going to also see here the Zacian from the opponent coming in, which will allow us to go ahead and go for 2 wild charges against them there. Most likely going to force a shield from the opponent, and I can swap out now into my Tapu Bulu. I just have to hit 1 grass knot. Can we get to the 1 grass knot there, or do I have enough energy to get to 2 players in time? We will see. They are not in their range for that one yet, and we will be able to knock them out with this grass knot here, as it's going to do a ton of damage. We are very attack rated with the Tapu Bulu still. It's very nice to see the damage output from this Pokemon, but of course the defensive abilities of this Pokemon are not really the best. We're going to see a Ho-Oh in the lead again, which is going to be very decent for us. We're just going to go up again, and I think this is this just a Brave Bird? It's Sacred Fire. Okay, no, it's still a Sacred Fire. They're gonna get the attack drop this time around, which is really, really awkward. I really don't like this one when this happens, but I can still go for the Draco. They're going to shield this move up here, and I'm going to try to catch a move here onto my Zacian, which didn't work out at all. That's very good for me. But we're gonna get out the Lugia, which is pretty nice for me. I can overpower by quite a bit and go for the Wild Charge here. Wild Charge is going to allow me to get them around half of their health. And I'm going to shield this move up because I know that the fast move is not going to farm me down in time, and I have so much energy stored here already that I can just go basically up to 2 nearly, as I will be able to go for another charge move here. Going to knock out the opponent's Lugia as well, which is going to be very nice for me. In comes the Yveltal, and we can go for 1 play rough here. Thing is with Yveltal, usually they run the moveset Focus Blast as well as the move Dark Pulse. As we're going to have here now a Fairy type coming in, all the moves would be resisted. So as my opponent going to swap out here, definitely means that they don't have Hurricane on this Pokemon, which also means now that they're going to forfeit because they know that they had no chance at all against our Tapu Bulu. There's still going to be a very, very cool game coming up with Tapu Bulu, by the way. You don't want to miss this one, definitely. But here we're going to see the Reshiram against us, which is going to be a little bit tricky, as this Pokemon gonna go for their own charge move and now swaps out into a Dialga. That's going to be a little bit tricky as well, as this Dialga going to have to shield this move up hopefully, and I think we put them into range for 1 play rough here now, which should be okay for us, as this incoming Iron Head is not going to do enough damage to knock me out. I can go for the play rough, which also does not do enough damage to knock out the opponent, but it's still going to put them into farm down range, which is all I really needed here. Let's see what's coming in. It's going to be the Reshiram again. They're lagging for a little bit. I had so much lag, by the way, as well today. It was wild. But I can go for 1 wild charge here, speaking of being a wild. And we will get out now the Lugia, which also going to get hit by this wild charge. I can swap out now into my Tapu Bulu. Going to be able to go for some Dazzling Gleams, but it's going to be a tough one. I have to go for the Dazzling Gleams, but I think I still have some energy stored on my Dialga at this point of time. Dazzling Gleam gonna do around 33%, I feel like, against the Lugia. But they're actually gonna go straight Arrow Blast. I thought they would bait, but they didn't bait against me. And now it's all down to our Dialga. Does this Draco Meteor do enough damage to knock out the opponent? It does, and we're going to be able to win this one. Next opponent, it's going to be Dialga against a Mewtwo. Not really ideal for us either, but let's take a look at this one. We're going to see if they're going to have Focus Blast, we're going to see if they're going to have Shadow Ball. Most people run Shadow Ball. Still, I like Focus Blast a little bit more nowadays. Side Strike coming through, we're going to shield up just in case, but we will be able to get them super low just because our Dragon Breath, of course, does way more damage than the fast move damage of the opponent. Still, they're going to hit us with very hard hitting charge moves here, like this Side Strike again. Interesting, but I guess this is also only just a Shadow Ball, most likely. Yeah, it's going to be a Shadow Ball. I will be able to farm them all the way down at least. And we're going to get out most likely the Dialga. And we go straight for the Draco Meteor this time around. Let's take a look if this is going to knock them out. It does not knock them out, but we're going to get them low, allowing us to go into our Zacian. And I should have stayed in longer for my own Dialga, so I would be able to farm down. Like this, they still get to a charge move. And like this, it's going to be a little bit tough. But in comes now the Kyogre of the opponent. Very decent for us, as we're going to be able to go for 1 wild charge. They used the shield up already, and I can go ahead and go into my Tapu Bulu. We have to go for the Grass Knot here, and we're going to be able to hit this one here as well, which is going to do some pretty decent damage against the opponent. Not knocking them out quite yet, but they can go ahead and go for their own Blizzard here to knock me out. But our Dialga just has a few HP left, but enough HP to win us this game. So this is going to be it for this game, and we can now go into the final game, and honestly the best game of them all. We're going to have the Groudon in the lead here. This is not really ideal for us, of course. We're going to have a very bad lead matchup for us here. But still, you're going to see soon what we can do here. We can go ahead and go for an Iron Head. This Iron Head going to do some pretty decent damage. They're most likely going to shield it, and they do exactly that, as they're going to keep their energy alive. They're going to overfarm by quite a bit, Fire Punch is coming through, a very great bait by the opponent. I can still go for my Iron Head, I thought, but no, I completely misplay this game. It's going to be Precipice Blade again, which I didn't expect that this would be the case here. So we're going to be in a really tough spot as our Tapu Bulu is now facing basically against 3 Pokemon after this one, because his Aeroblast is coming through here, going to do a ton of damage. Can go for another fast move as well as Wild Charge here, but it is not looking good. Like, you see it already, like there's not a lot that I can do about this one. Gonna be able to go for another charge move here in order to knock out the opponent's Lugia at least, or basically I try to, but the opponent going to be able to go for a charge move here after they're shielded, and now it's all down to Tapu Bulu. In comes now for the opponent the Groudon again. We have to kind of knock them out. I don't really want to get hit by a Fire Punch here, as this would be super effective of course. We will be able to knock out the first Pokemon. In comes now the opponent's final Pokemon, which is going to be a Dragonite, which is amazing for us as we can go for the Dazzling Gleam, and honestly I should have just not hit the final bubble there, because we would have been able to get the perfect amount of farm. Like this, we're going to be one short to get to another Dazzling Gleam, but the opponent didn't throw with their Lugia, and like this, we were able to sweep an entire team with Tapu Bulu in the Master League right now. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked the sweep, please leave a like on the video, and I hope I see you in the next one. Bye bye!